Alright, in this video, this is part 2 to making this using RegEx to make a table in KLWP. And even though this is not real clear in the video, the cell phone screen, but what I have here is date, time, sport, competition, event, live. There they are. Then I have the date, the time, the sport, the competition. And I don't know if you can see these in the video. It may not be the clearest thing in the world, but they look just fine on my device. But they match this. And then what I've done here is I've just done 4 pieces of it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth one, we got what? Soccer, Copa. So look, 1, 2, 3, 4, soccer. It's the exact same thing. And we're doing all this in Tasker, and then we're sending it over to KLWP. I need a little bit of help on something, if it's even possible. Let's go ahead and dive into it. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of getting the other stuff, a few things that I've done in the toot that I made in the last video. Remember how we did HTTP GET, we did the read file, and I called that one ArenaVision toot. Well, I'm just going to show you, instead of me going through all of this stuff here, this is the rest of our stuff. I'm just going to go through each step with you instead of recreating the whole thing, because it's going to be some very similar pieces. But the fact now, what we want to do is maybe speed through this a little bit more. So the read file here that I have is just arenavision.txt. That's one thing I changed there, but some things are going to be pretty doggone similar. And before we dive into that as well, go ahead and create a profile. Have it set to run. You can do plus, you select time, and then once you do that, you just have it set to run every 1 hour. That way it'll update this table that we have in KLWP every 1 hour. I have it set to run ArenaVision dates. That is going to be this task. Basically, this is the task that I showed you how to create in the last tutorial. However, there's a few things different here. Instead of us sending the entire array over to KLWP, we're going to have to send over. This is where I need some help. Maybe there's a faster way to do this. But how many ever of these things you want to create? I've messed around with it. Notice dates 1, dates 2, dates 3, dates 4. That's going to be each individual element in the array that I called date array. So if I click on one of these, I'm going to send it over to KLWP, and I want to send over that first date. That's going to be this one here. And then I call this one dates 1. I would love, I know how to do a loop in Tasker. If any of y'all are good with Tasker, is there a way to tie a variable to this? I know I can tie a variable to this, but I would like to send date array 1, and I'd like Kustom to recognize it as dates 1. But also inside of this thing, I'd like it to be date array 2 and call the custom variable dates 2, data array 3, dates 3, data array 4, dates 4. So technically I'm still getting 4 pieces of data, but I would love if I could loop and just do this KLWP send variable one time. Let me go ahead and show you why. The rest of this information, look at this. Look at all these KLWP send variables. You see what I'm saying? So I would love, for example, here, other stuff 11 or other stuff 10. I know I can tie a variable into that in Tasker, but I can't get it to recognize it here. So I would love to be able to do the KWGT send variable maybe once in each task, but have it in a loop to where it changes this number. I know I can do that, but I'd like to change that and have KWGT get each one of those pieces individually. Nonetheless, if you have some help there, please leave a comment below. I don't even know if it's possible. Nonetheless, so we talked about, creating a profile. That profile again runs ArenaVision dates, which runs this task. It's going to send all those variables over to KLWP. And then notice this last part here. I have it set to perform task. This is where it's going to tell ArenaVision rest of stuff to run. Well, where is that at? That's the one that we're going to focus on in this tutorial. So this is ArenaVision rest of stuff. Now, I'm not going to have to do the HTTP GET anymore because we did that back in the previous task, and all I have to do is just reread that text file. And remember I renamed it arenavision.txt. So what we're going to have to do here with this, what we want to get the rest of our stuff, I no longer want my dates, so I no longer want that. What I want is I want to get this, 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 and that. All right. But then here's the next one. I got a date. I don't want that. I want to get this, 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 and this. Every once in a while, you may notice, okay, we got a pattern going on here. We're starting to look at the names over here at the front, but every once in a while, you'll run across one where, okay, we got the time, the sport, the event, I guess the team names, but notice that we got a line break or something, whatever that HTML junk is. Well, we're going to have to get rid of that. That's one thing we're going to have to do. Also, what we want to do is I want to get rid of these pieces in this entire text file. That's one of the first things I'm going to do. So in read file, I have it reading the file that I got from the HTTP GET, and I'm just storing it as a local variable %arena. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take that %arena, which is this file here, and it's broken up by lines. So we're going to do some regex on it, and the regex is going to be what you see right there. So let me show you what this is going to do. So boom, escape. I mentioned this in the last tutorial, tr.star. Okay, this is the greedy, but what it's going to do is it's going to take these lines here where we have our dates, and I'm not going to store these matches. I'm just going to replace those matches with nothing. Okay, and the reason why I'm doing that is because I want to get rid of technically this TD class in here, and if I can get rid of these TD classes, so I'm replacing it with nothing, then I can focus on my other TD classes. And that's what's going to be helpful here, because now we can, if we can replace, we search for all these lines in here, which are what we already covered in the previous tutorial. I'm replacing them with nothing, and then we can do also, let's go ahead and do this as well. Inside of this %arena, let's go ahead and search for the breaks, and let's replace them with nothing. So notice I got that exact piece there. What that's going to find are these pieces here. Now remember, we have to escape to get this backslash to work, but it's going to search for that and it's going to replace it with nothing. Sure, what that's really going to do is it's going to take this stuff right here eventually and it's going to put it right beside that, because we're going to replace this with nothing, which is going to be helpful when we go to do some more regex. So replace matches with nothing. We're cutting that out. That's going to kill that problem where we had with the line break or whatever it is. Sure, it's not going to put a space or something in between there, but hey, I ain't worried about it. I hope you're not either. If you are, I think you can just replace with and put a space or something like that. I think that will work. But nonetheless, we're going to be good with that. Now, what do we want to do? So now that we've gone through, notice I'm doing my line, or I want to search for my lines now. I didn't do this at the beginning because I wanted to go ahead and get rid of these lines individually. Remember that process there? Then I want to get rid of these little breaks, and now we can take whatever we have left in %arena and we can just search for the what are they called? Carriage returns or enters, or basically new lines, and I want to replace those new lines with nothing. What this is going to do is it's going to make it, and I mentioned this in the last tutorial, it makes it one long list of stuff. It's not an array, but really what this is like the correct word, I should have mentioned this last time, and some of y'all probably were thinking, dude, it's a string. So this is like a string of junk, a string of junk. And what this is going to allow us to do now is it's going to allow us to do regex on this long string instead of us doing just regex on each individual line, because by default regex will do per line, by line. It won't go from one line to the next. All right, so we're doing that. We're getting rid of all the enters or new lines. And here's what we're ready to do now. So we've gotten rid of the blue stuff that you see here. And now what I want to do now is I want to search through this string, because we got rid of our enters, and I want it to search and be not greedy. Check this out. Watch what happens when we search for this. TD class dot star not greedy TD, and then boom. Okay, notice it's going to search for all of these. However, since we got rid of this earlier, remember how I told you we wanted to get rid of the thing that started with the TR, because we searched for this thing here and we searched for this thing here and we replaced it with nothing. So technically those pieces that I'm highlighting right now are not there anymore. Therefore, it's going to find this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And it's going to find this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. And since it's being not greedy, it's going to stop. Even though this stuff is a long string, it's going to search for TD class, boom, and it's going to keep on searching until it gets to here. That's what that not greedy, that question mark there, is not going to make it go to the end of the file. It's just going to make it go to the first occurrence of where we see TD with this little greater than symbol, which is right there. Well, what do we want to do there? We do want to store these matches. So we're getting ready to store some matches, and this is going to be stored in an array. And you're going to see, remember the array notation, we're going to have to use parentheses in a moment. So it's going to take all those matches, store them in there. I'm not replacing or anything like that in the variable search replace for that particular piece. So it's finding boom, 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 etc. Well, what do we want to do now? Since that thing is an array, the other stuff is automatically going to be an array. It's going to be separated by commas. What I want to do, this is what I mentioned in that first tutorial, I want to convert this to a long list of junk. Well, technically that's called a string, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm taking this array, and instead of Tasker seeing it as an array, once I store it as this, even though I have it called an array, it's going to see it as a string. And I just call it array because eventually we are going to convert this thing back to an array. Eventually. So we're doing that. Variable set. Now what we can do is we can search through that string that I called %otherstuffArray, and what we want to do now, so let me get away from this thing. Let me get rid of the blue for right now. It's pulling these things here, it's pulling these things here. Well, what we want to do is we want to cut out, all I really want is this, 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 this. And when we get down here to a line break, remember how we got rid of that too earlier in the tutorial? Well, I want to search for that and that right there. Well, what we want to do is we don't want to necessarily search for that, but we want to search for this stuff in the string and this stuff in the string. So how do we do that? I want to do boom, dot star, not greedy, bam. Check that out. If we search for this, which is, that's how you do it in RegEx. Basically, I'm starting with the less than symbol, any character, any number of times, but we're going to search for the first occurrence of the greater than symbol. So notice, you know, we have one there, we have one there. We have one there, we have one there. It's searching for all those different spots, and I want to replace it with nothing. So basically, this is deleting it. Well, if I delete all these things you see in blue, look what we're going to be left with. Boom, 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 exactly what we want. Even down here, it's going to do Chicago Bulls. Since I've already got rid of this little break thing earlier, it's going to be Chicago Bulls, Boston, Celtics, because that thing's already gone. Now that I think about it, you probably didn't have to do that earlier, but I did it anyway. Or I think we did have to do it. Anyway, just kind of roll with what I said, but this does work. As you saw at the beginning, I did have that table out there. So that was number 7. Now, variable split. So since we did this search here, we searched for this, we're replacing it with nothing. Remember, this thing originally was an array. So we can still take this other stuff array after we've got rid of all this junk, and it's going to be nothing but this, 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 all those things there. And they're going to be separated by commas because we didn't get rid of the commas. So we want to split this thing with a comma. I checked on delete base. And then once we do that, we're going to have an array of other stuff 1, other stuff 2. Let me flash one of these real quick. Whoops, not flashlight. Did you see that flashlight pop up there? But here we go, flash stuff array. And now we should see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even though I called my custom variable something different. So here we go. 1 o'clock, football, NCAA. Look, it's that exact same information we see right there. So this is other stuff array 1, other stuff array 2, other stuff array 3, other stuff array 4, other stuff array 5. Well, depending on how many you want to send, this would be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, including that, and then 15. So how many ever these you want to send over, this is where, again, I need that help. I mean, if sending them all over is crazy. You have to do a lot of KLWP send variables, a lot of copying and pasting, but you can get each one sent over to KLWP. Now, I don't need that flash anymore. But again, notice it did skip over that one. When I did the other stuff array flash 1 through 5, since we've already got rid of that line, remember way back up here, we got rid of that line right there. We got rid of that TR line by doing that search replace, and we replaced it with nothing. So again, the RegEx here, I'm brushing up on it every time I do these type of tutorials. It's rather interesting, obviously, that you can do this type of stuff and cut stuff out, and Tasker does it fast. A lot faster than doing the raw and trying to do regex and KLWP. So big fan of that. I'm just going to delete this guy because I don't need it. And I just have a little flash down here at the bottom saying, hey, text arena updated. Because what's going to happen is this profile that we have set up is set to run every 1 hour. So it's going to run Arena Vision dates. And remember, Arena Vision dates, I have it set to perform Arena Vision rest of stuff, which is the stuff that I just covered with you here a moment ago. And then when all that stuff's done, it's just going to flash on my phone, Arena updated, just to let me know it did send an update, and it does work. Now, all that stuff gets sent over to KLWP. Make sure once you create all this stuff, I mean, I didn't show you all these, but if how many ever pieces you want to send over, you're going to have to do a KLWP send variable. Other stuff array 1, that's going to be that one. Call it something. I wish there's a way we could tie this into it with a loop. Again, I mentioned that at the beginning of the video, but if you know how to do that, again, please comment below. Send all that junk over, and what's this going to look like? Well, it's not going to look like this until you go into KLWP. So we have to make this in KLWP, but before I do that, I did post a quick question up on the G+ community custom official about getting the one send variable and having it loop, or maybe sending an array over to KLWP and letting KLWP break that array apart for us. Frank did reply, I made a feature request, so maybe that can be something we will see in the near future. With that said, let's go ahead and see how to make this thing. There's several stack groups in this thing, and overlap groups as well. So you might want to, if you're going to make this table or make a table, you might want to throw some globals in there to adjust your font sizes. As you can see, the font sizes are changing, font widths and rectangle widths. And you know, I'm not going to dive too deep into that. I just want to talk about how to get the tasker variables to show up. So create some stack groups. I have one stack group, a horizontal stack group, and inside of that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stack groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And each one of those, inside of those stack groups, I have overlap groups. For example, I want to take this first one we see right here. This is the one where we have our date. Or in this case it says day, but I just put date. So overlap group, that's this first one in the top left-hand corner. I know you can't see it real well. I have a rectangle with some stroke applied to it, and then also inside of that overlap group, I have the word date. No coding there, just type the word date in. Now, these 4 pieces are the dates 1, dates 2, dates 3, dates 4. And let me show you that real quick. So if I go back to this stack group, this vertical stack group that sits inside of this horizontal stack group, if I come down here to that very first one, which is this one right here, this is going to correspond to dates 1 that I'm getting over from Tasker. All right, so dates 1, dates 2, dates 3, dates 4. You're going to have to change that number right there. And again, with that feature request that was just made, this will probably change in the future, but for now, this works just fine. Just a little bit extra KLWP send variable stuff going on there. And then, okay, let's go over to another stack group. Let's go to the one, okay, let's go to the second one. All right, so the second one is going to be the time that it occurs. So I have, you know, overlap groups inside of there, and this is where we start the other stuff array, which we send it over as just other stuff 1. And then for like other stuff array 2 in Tasker, we send it over as other stuff 2, and so forth. So let's look at the 1700 CE. Okay, now right now this isn't updated. I'll tell you what I'm going to do real quick. Let me just save this, go back to the home screen. I'm just going to close KLWP like that, and I'm going to open it back up. That way it's going to show the same information that we see over here. Let me refresh that just in case too. But it should be showing the right information now. You know, sometimes the advanced editor does not update. But nonetheless, here we go. So there we go. It was here that it wasn't updated. Not in KLWP. It was the website. But anyway, here we go. So time, I'm in this stack group here, 17 CET, which is that first one there. This is other stuff 1 that I sent over from Tasker. Okay? What about the other ones? This is not other stuff 2. You have to be careful how these things were named. This is other stuff 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be other stuff 6. Other stuff 6 that got sent over to KLWP. If we go check that out, the very next one, the 20 CET, as you can see it says that there. That is that spot right there. This will be other stuff 6. All right, now I did send over 4 rows of information from Tasker. So what is this last one going to be right here? Well, this is other stuff 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15. This should be other stuff 20 for our custom variable name. So if I go over to my last stat group, which is the live column, notice it says live, I called that live, and I'm just going to head to the very last one, which is this one here, because remember I sent over four rows of information. So as you can see, it is showing the 15, 16, SX English, but it is other stuff 20. So that's how I've named those other stuff pieces that I've sent over from Tasker. Just keep in mind, it is easy to get confused with the Tasker variable versus the custom variable name. Notice, like, I'm just going to go to other stuff 3 inside of here. The Tasker string that I had, just by me naming all these local variables different names, you can name them actually the same name as you keep on going through your task. But nonetheless, I just did it this way, maybe to kind of guide you in the right direction. But the Tasker string is other stuff array 3. That's item number 3 in that array, whereas this is the custom variable name that I'm using over in KLWP. So I hope that makes sense. You know, play around with the stat groups, create your little pieces, and as you can see, we can get a table that is going to update every hour in Tasker. It sends it over to KLWP, and bam. Now, I know some of you are not going to be using Agenda, this little website here, but I don't know if you noticed it, little perk, and I think I'm going to wait on this and see that, but I have started doing some NFL stuff. We can take, as long as you can find patterns in your source code, you can do this stuff in Tasker very quick, send it over to KLWP. But I think I'm going to wait on NFL. I know we're kind of like, you know, right in the middle of football season, but I don't, this is going to be a lot of send variables right now if I did this tutorial. But nonetheless, that's for another day. And there you have it. That's how you can take a crazy source code, look for patterns, do some regex, let Tasker handle it, and send it on over to KLWP and enjoy your day. And that's it for this video. I hope it helped.